Good morning from Brussels. We have packed our car, we're leaving the hotel, and now we're off to Paris with a little pit stop in Lille, because in Lille we're going to talk to a wind energy company, which is really exciting. I have no idea how wind energy works and what role it plays in the energy mix of renewable energies. And this is something that we want to find out. And since we're in Brussels, I want to use the opportunity to talk to you about something that is very important to us, Europe. One of the goals was to go to as many countries as possible in the 5 weeks that we wanted to go on the trip. And this was because we wanted to find out what it truly means to be European. First of all, being European means traveling in Europe without borders. And this is something that, if you think about it, is pretty normal to us, at least to my generation. You know, I've always been used to, well, I can remember really early when I was like 10 years old that there were borders, or still borders. But after that, for us Europeans, it was easy to travel wherever we wanted to go without showing our passports or ID. This is such a privilege we have, because we can go with a car or with a plane in just a couple of hours to different countries to experience different cultures, get to know people who speak different languages and have a completely different background than us. Well, of course not entirely different, because we all kind of share a European identity. But if you go a little deeper, you have different people in Catalonia, in Bavaria, in the north of Scandinavia. They're all different, but somehow they're all connected. Being able to travel wherever we want to travel on this continent is not the only freedom we have. We have freedom of speech, we have fairly democratic systems that we live in that enable us to share our opinion and to contribute to society, which is not the case all over the world, you know? For the last couple of months and years, this value system, or what Europe has achieved over the course of the last 70 years, has been kind of endangered because of some people who try to think nationalist and try to plant these bad seeds in the brains of people. And all I have to say is, of course, the European Union is not perfect, but it's also not the only reason why things are going bad for some people. And no matter what happens in the next years or next months, I think we as Europeans must understand that we are at a crossroads, and that certain values held up high over the course of the last centuries, we need to maintain them, you know, and we need to fight for them. This is just something that I wanted to say before leaving Brussels. But now, let's go to Paris and make a little pit stop in Lille before that. So we just had a little bit of a nightmare just now, because we entered France and we knew that in France we would need to go to a supermarket in order to get the charging card that we have, that was sent to us in every other country from the charging network. The only charging network that was not able to send us the card was Kiwi. That's the French network for charging stations. And for some reason, they were not able to do this for the course of the last 5 weeks. And they apologized for that, but they told us, if you go to France, you need to go to a supermarket or an IKEA, and there you can talk to the employees and they will give you the card. We have 250 kilometers left in the battery, and Paris is now 224 kilometers left from here. We're now in Lille. Nobody in the supermarket where we went to, which is the only supermarket today that is open because it's a holiday, nobody knew what this card is and where we can find it and what it means, and nobody could help us. We filmed all this for you, like when we went into the supermarket, talked to the people, and as soon as we left the supermarket, this security guy walked up to us and told us that we have to delete all the footage that we just took, because it's private grounds. And then we talked to them in French, and they were really nice. and they're really, really good. So Auchan, you have really good security employees, by the way. Don't worry about anyone doing video at your places. But what we had to do now is we had to park the car somewhere else, charge it with an AC charger, which is super slow, grab a taxi from there and go to the city center of Lille in order to meet the people that we want to talk to now. I hope they're there yet because it's a holiday and they're coming in only for us to do the interview. Maybe they're not there yet. Yeah, let's wait for them. So for us, this is really not a surprise that as soon as we entered France, we run into trouble. But I hope we can find the card in Paris and then continue our drive to the south of France without any problems. But I know that tomorrow or even tonight when we go to Paris, it will take us a couple of hours to get one of those cards. And this is pretty annoying.
In fact, you know how it works. There is a wind farm with 4, 5, 10 turbines, and we have a substation. And we deliver the electricity coming from each one of the turbines to the substation. And we are trying to find a solution to use a part of this electricity to deliver electricity for electrical cars used by the commuted commune, similar to the American district. That is very interesting for us. We are just in the middle of the investigation, and it is interesting.
You just told me that wind energy is hardly accepted by the French people.
It's more and more complicated, yes.
Why is that? Is it because of the big windmills in the landscape, or?
This is a landscape, essentially. In the past, there was an opposition to the noise, remarks about the noise, but now with the modern equipment it doesn't exist anymore. Afterwards we had remark about the fact that there was an impact on the health of people. It doesn't exist anymore. Now the new story in the articles, it decides that maybe it could have an impact to the animals for the reproductions. Then each year we have a new reason to be opposed to the wind farm.
Are those not excuses to really prolong the advancement of renewable energy? It sounds like excuses from certain people.
No, I think that most of the people are in favor of renewable energy, but this is a syndrome of the Namba, not in my garden, not in my backyard. Everybody wants to develop renewable energy, as long as it's not close to the house.
And these windmills are huge, but have very small blades. And we were always thinking, how can such, like 3 small blades, produce such an amount of energy? And how does it work?
High tower or small tower?
A high tower, like this one. Yeah. So how does it work? Is it the wind generator? How does it work?
In fact, the higher you are, the better it is in terms of wind. Mm-hmm. Meaning that in most of the countries like Germany, where the wind is not so excellent, except in the north probably, to find the wind we have to climb up, to go up to 120 meters. And once you are at the altitude where there is wind, maybe you don't need, depending on the site, maybe you don't need a big rotor, and maybe small blades are enough. And in France, starting from this substation, there is a transmission line implemented by the utility, the French utility, EDF, to transport the electricity from the substation to the grid. This is the system. And the problem we have today, we have more and more wind electricity, I would say, and it's not a permanent source of production. It depends on the wind, meaning that more and more the operator is in trouble to deliver electricity if there is a lack of wind everywhere in France. In France we have three main areas for the wind: the north, where we are, Brittany, and the south with the Mistral. It is very rare to have the three areas in lack of wind, but it could happen. And in such a situation, the operator has to find a solution to provide electricity to the consumers without any interruption, without stop. This is the deal today. Some years ago it was not so important because we had only maybe 2,000–3,000 megawatt installed in wind. Now we are at 13,000 megawatt. In France, globally, the power of generation is about 100,000 megawatt, meaning that we represent 13%, and now we have an impact, positive impact if we have wind, but negative impact if there is a lack of wind. Fortunately, we had election for the presidency some weeks ago. We had a big fear because in our profession, because on the four main candidates, we had the extreme right, and it was announced that one of the first decisions was to pronounce a moratorium against wind energy, meaning that we would have been dead. The right was more in favor of nuclear energy, meaning that the development of our activity would have been reduced. At the extreme left, the goal was to stop the nuclear plant, just to focus to the renewable energy, which is not realistic because I explained we cannot produce electricity 24 hours a day. It's impossible. And the guy, having been elected, Macron, want to continue the policy of the former president, meaning to reduce the nuclear plant from 75 to 50% and to promote renewable energy, all by trying to put different kind of renewable energy in competition in order to push the price down. Then it means that in the 5 coming years we have really something to do in our country. We are in 2017. For the wind we have 13,000 megawatt installed. The goal of 2020, 3 years, we should be at 23,000, meaning that we have a big window of development for the very short term in front of us.
So funny. We're now using an AC charger, which is the slowest version we can use, and it says that the car will be fully charged in 23 or 22 hours. Yeah, in 22 hours.